Good evening. I'm Joanna Green, Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs and Strategy for the Maryland Department of Transportation. Thank you all for being here today. Welcome to our community update, where we've come together to discuss the project that profoundly impacts the people of Baltimore, the state of Maryland, and beyond, the rebuilding of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Before we get going, I'd like to acknowledge the impacts of this tragic event on our community, and especially to the loved ones of the 6 men who lost their lives. We honor their memory in everything we do. I'd also like to recognize the work that's been done by first responders, the MDTA, local, state, and federal partners. Finally, I want to highlight the engagement and resilience of the Sparrows Point, Edgemere, Dundalk, Turner Station, and other neighboring communities who see and feel the impacts of the bridge's collapses every day. The collapse of the Key Bridge on March 26 brought local communities in Baltimore and Maryland together and rallied support throughout the nation for those affected. On a personal note, this tragedy hits especially close to home for me. I grew up in Turner Station, and just before the collapse, I had attended a community meeting there. For those of us from Turner Station and adjacent communities, the Key Bridge is more than just infrastructure, it's our bridge. It connects our past with our future, and its loss is deeply felt by everyone in our communities. As you can imagine, the amount of work that has been and still needs to be done is massive. Working together, we started immediately to clear the debris to reopen the channel and began discussions on the actions needed to build the new one. We are also happy to note that the cargo ship Dolly has been safely docked, allowing for transportation of goods to resume through the Port of Baltimore. In the meantime, know that our team is working tirelessly to resolve travel issues you are all facing due to the increased traffic and travel times. As commuters ourselves, we share your frustration and will prioritize safety and impacts to local roads as we find solutions while the bridge is being rebuilt. We are committed to a rebuild effort that includes the community in every step of the process. This evening, we will share with you the latest updates on our progress, the challenges we face, and the milestones we have achieved. We will also address your questions and concerns, as your input is vital to ensuring the project's success. The rebuilding of the Francis Scott Key Bridge is more than just a construction project. It is a collective effort to reconnect our communities. We are excited to share our progress with you and look forward to your feedback. Thank you all for participating this evening, and thank you to all of our panelists.
Good evening, and welcome to the virtual community update on the Key Bridge Rebuild Project. Tonight's community update kicks off MDTA's engagement efforts with local communities, neighborhoods, and stakeholders impacted by the collapse of the Key Bridge. I'm Nicole Monroe, and I'll be your moderator for tonight. I'm pleased to introduce our MDTA panelists. Joining us are Brian Wolf, the Director of Project Development, and Jim Harkness, MDTA Chief Engineer. Brian and Jim, could you share a little bit more about yourselves? Quick break for some housekeeping. Thank you. Patients. Joining us are Brian Wolf, and Director of Project Development, and Jim Harkness, MDTA Chief Engineer. Brian and Jim, could you share a little bit more about yourselves?
I'm Brian Wolf, Director of Project Development for the Maryland Transportation Authority, and I will be the Contract Manager for the Key Bridge Rebuild Program.
Hi, I'm Jim Harkness, Chief Engineer for Maryland Transportation Authority, and I am overseeing the Key Bridge Rebuild Program.
Your participation in tonight's virtual community update is essential, and we have structured the presentation and discussion to ensure it's both informative and interactive. We realize the rebuilding of the Key Bridge is important to everyone that has been impacted by the bridge collapse. We want to be transparent and inclusive about the efforts to rebuild the Key Bridge. Tonight, we want to hear your questions and input on what's important to you. We will start with a presentation to share information related to the steps we are taking to rebuild the Key Bridge. And then we will respond to questions that have been submitted by attendees. You can submit questions or feedback at any time by going to the Q&A window on your screen and entering your question. There is also an option to post your questions anonymously. We will respond to as many questions as we can. The virtual community update is being live streamed on keybridgerebuild.com, and the recording will be available to review at your convenience. A set of questions and answers in response to the questions and feedback that we have received will be updated to the project website. A quick housekeeping note about the Zoom platform we are using tonight. To adjust the size of the shared screen and speaker video, hover your pointer over the boundary between the two until your pointer changes to a double arrow and you see the gray line separating both views. Click and drag the separator to adjust the size of each view. The purpose of this community update is to share information about the Key Bridge rebuild and how we will transition from a cleared navigational channel to driving on a new bridge in fall of 2028. We will also discuss what the MDTA is doing to help everyone get across the Patapsco River as smoothly as possible in the meantime. The MDTA also wants to hear what is important to you as a community member, commuter, occasional traveler, or business owner. Before we move on, let's briefly review Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It is crucial for us to acknowledge that no person shall be excluded from participation, denied benefits, or subjected to discrimination under any program or activity on the grounds of race, color, national origin, sex, English proficiency, or disability. This commitment to equity underpins all of our efforts and ensures that public service, like transportation, are accessible to all, including populations with limited English proficiency. If you need LEP assistance or believe the MDTA is not meeting the expectations of Title VI, please direct your questions or concerns to Denise Green, our Equal Employment Opportunity Lead Compliance Officer, whose contact information appears on this slide. The collapse of the Key Bridge on March 26 brought local communities in Baltimore, Maryland together. We're grieving the lives that have been lost and the effects the collapse has had on our community. The rebuilding of the Key Bridge will honor those individuals in the best way possible. I'd like to acknowledge the work done by the MDTA, local, state, and federal partners to date. This has been a massive effort. Working together, we have been able to clear the debris and reopen the channel. Governor Westmore issued 4 directives in response to the Key Bridge collapse. 1, provide closure to affected communities. 2, clear the channel and fully open vessel traffic to the port. 3, take care of people affected by the collapse. And last, rebuild the Key Bridge. These directives guide our efforts and ensure we address the needs of everyone impacted by this tragic event. Jim is now going to discuss Governor Moore's first two directives, including closure to the families and clearing the channel. Jim?
Closure to the families has been a priority, and we acknowledge the profound impact on 6 families having lost a husband, father, brother, and friend. A tragedy we must always remember. On April 4th, Maryland Tough, Baltimore Strong Alliance was launched, bringing together philanthropic, business, and community leaders to support those affected. By May 7th, the recovery mission for the Key Bridge collapse was concluded. From here, we must always keep those affected families in our thoughts. On March 28th, bridge wreckage removal began and a unified command established a 2,000-yard safety zone for the Dolly recovery efforts. By April 1st, the first vessel used the channel since the collapse.
We're going to take a short break for some housekeeping. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for joining the Key Bridge Rebuild Virtual Community Update. If you have a question, you can submit it using the Zoom Q&A panel. To adjust the size of the shared screen and speaker video, hover your pointer over the boundary between the two until your pointer changes to a double arrow and you see a gray line separating both views. Click and drag the separator to adjust the size of each view.
Thank you for your patience. We were having a few technical difficulties. Jim, back to you. Thank you so much.
All right. On March 28th, bridge wreckage removal began and a unified command established a 2,000-yard safety zone for the Dolly recovery efforts. By April 1st, the first vessel used the channel since the collapse, and a second temporary alternate channel opened on April 2nd. We have since opened additional channels, and the use of the full-width federal channel was restored yesterday. Our efforts continue to ensure safe and efficient navigation in the area. Brian and Nicole will now discuss Governor Moore's last 2 directives, supporting people affected by the bridge collapse and rebuilding the Key Bridge.
We realize the collapse of the Key Bridge has created challenges for the local communities and neighborhoods, as well as commuters that utilize our roadways, and we are working to support people affected by the bridge collapse. Traffic impacts have gone far beyond a vital link on I-695. The vast majority of the 39,000 vehicles that cross the Key Bridge each weekday are now using I-895 and I-95, creating significant delays. Weekday rush hour travel time increased by up to 25 minutes on I-895 and up to 30 minutes on I-95. Vehicles carrying hazardous materials have been rerouted to the west side of the Baltimore Beltway. In addition to the traffic impacts, the Port of Baltimore faces a daily economic impact of $191 million due to the traffic disruptions. With the opening of the federal channel, we look forward to that rebounding. The MDTA is working with our partners to find solutions to alleviate traffic impacts on local communities and commuters. We have been receiving mostly positive feedback from commuters and peers on our I-895 toll plaza adjustments and travel times during the morning hours, which have improved through the travel plaza area. As of May 20th, the reopened Broning Highway interchange gives commercial vehicles and local commuters easier access to I-695. We continue to evaluate our options in order to safely maintain these traffic improvements.
Thank you, Brian. We acknowledge traffic has become more challenging to deal with. If possible, we ask that you adjust your commute times, take advantage of telework options, and encourage employers to work with employees who have had significant commute time increases due to the bridge collapse. We know it's not possible for everyone's work schedule, but every effort helps. And remember, public transit. Our buses and light rail are great options to consider. The MDTA and our local and regional partners establish web pages as a one-stop shop for all resources regarding the Key Bridge, including resources to support those affected. Visit keybridgerebuild.com, scroll to the bottom of the home page, and you will find links to these resources. These resources include Key Bridge Response, News, and Commuter Choices, along with Drive Easy Pass Maryland. You can find updates and information on Easy Pass commuter plans, alternative route maps, traffic alerts, press conference videos, contact information, Key Bridge history, and more. One of these resources that we would like to talk about in more detail is Commuter Choice Maryland at commuterconnections.org. This site offers free commuter programs and services that are available for commuters, employees, and employers, and include program information, incentives, and support. For commuters and employees, there is a free guaranteed ride home program, free ride matching assistance to find carpools, van pools, park and ride lot maps, and information about Incentive Trip app that rewards commuters for their trips to work. Also, through Commuter Choice Maryland, assistance is available to help employers build a commute program that meets the specific needs of their organization based on location, employee schedules, and available commute options, many of which are eligible for substantial tax incentives. Please visit m.maryland.gov/keybridgecommute to learn more about commuting resources. Brian, can you now update us on the rebuild process?
Sure, Nicole. MDTA has already begun implementing measures to rebuild the Key Bridge. The MDTA and their chosen design and construction team will ensure that the new Key Bridge not only provides a vital connection to Baltimore and the region, but also creates a structure that meets the transportation and commercial needs of a world-class city. While the exact nature of the approach to the bridge is still under development, we strive for a new bridge that will accommodate the needs of the port and provide an enhanced protection system for the new bridge piers and foundations. Additionally, we anticipate a bridge that will be built largely in the same location, staying within existing MDTA property, and will provide a 4-lane roadway. You may have heard in the media about decisions being made about a cable-stayed bridge and other architectural features. No decision has been made on a bridge design at this point. This effort is part of the collaboration with the selected design and construction team. We anticipate minimal environmental impacts. Our team is committed to ongoing assessments and coordination with relevant agencies to ensure we are taking all necessary precautions. Our focus remains on protecting cultural and natural resources, as well as addressing concerns related to noise, air quality, and greenhouse gases. The Maryland Transportation Authority, the State Highway Administration, and the Federal Highway Administration are working closely together to review these impacts thoroughly. Our work is guided by 2 fundamental principles: equity and environmental justice. At the Maryland Department of Transportation, our dedication to customer service and innovation for the public good is inseparable from our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is central to our mission as a government agency to ensure that each member of our community has full opportunity to thrive in our environment. For we believe that diversity is key to individual excellence in the advancement of knowledge. The MDTA's mission is to deliver safe, sustainable, intelligent, exceptional, and inclusive transportation solutions in order to connect our customers to life's opportunities. One of MDTA's core values is excellence. Excellence in our people, relationships, work, and environment. And we strive to reach that through our commitment to diversity and equity. By developing and nurturing diversity, we reap the greater rewards of creativity, flexibility, and excellence that exist in all of us. For instance, we are encouraging diverse businesses to participate in the process and to contribute and benefit to our project. Additionally, we plan to actively engage with underserved communities to understand their needs and concerns at future in-person events. Since the collapse, we have taken significant steps to advance design and construction. On May 7th, we held an industry forum to explain the timing and type of design and construction process. On May 31st, we advertised the contract for design and construction within 9 weeks of the collapse. We anticipate awarding the contract to the design and construction team mid to late summer. Project design will begin in the fall with a completion and reopening date in the fall of 2028.
Thank you, Brian. In an effort to enhance community engagement, we are pleased to announce the Key Bridge Rebuild Engagement Tour, a grassroots initiative. The engagement tour involves collaboration with key stakeholders and local community partners to ensure broad-based participation and effective dialogue of information. The engagement tour events are planned to occur within or immediately adjacent to the I-695 corridor at local community centers, places of worship, employers, transit centers, farmers markets, fairs, and festivals. Members from MDTA and the Key Bridge Rebuild team are also available for speaking engagements upon request and welcome your suggestions as we can stay connected to your community. Through these coordinated efforts, we aim to enhance our community engagement and foster strong partnerships with key stakeholders and local organizations. We're committed to serving our community. We look forward to the positive impact these initiatives will bring. Your involvement is crucial to the success of this project. Visit the Contact Us page on keybridgerebuild.com to stay informed and learn about future engagements. We encourage you to stay connected with the project by joining our mailing list, requesting a community meeting, and participating in future engagement events. And if you don't know, follow MDTA on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. We encourage you to do so. At this time, we're now going to take a short break before moving to the Q&A portion of our community update. During the break, we ask that you take a brief poll to help us understand what's important to you. The information gathered through this poll will be compiled and reviewed to help inform and guide response and support efforts. Your feedback is critical during this difficult time, and please know that we are preparing to support you in any way we can. We'll launch the poll now, and we'll be back shortly.
Thank you for joining the Key Bridge Rebuild Virtual Community Update. If you have a question, you can submit it using the Zoom Q&A panel. To adjust the size of the shared screen and speaker video, hover your pointer over the boundary between the two until your pointer changes to a double arrow and you see a gray line separating both views. Click and drag the separator to adjust the size of each view. Thanks again for joining us today.
Welcome back. Before we begin the Q&A, we want to share the results of the live poll. So let's see what questions resonated the most with our viewers. How has the collapse of the Key Bridge impacted your daily life? That was 36% participation. Where are you getting travel information? I like to see that it is the MDTA websites. Thank you for visiting our websites. We try to keep you updated with the most information, the best information. So thank you so much. Have you benefited from any of the following Key Bridge collapse resources? 39% of you say that you have benefited from the Key Bridge News website. We want more of you to visit that. You can continue to see what's going on with this survey by staying tuned. Okay. The poll will continue to be available through the keybridgerebuild.com and at local events near you. Okay, we're going to move into addressing some of your questions. We will do our best to address as many questions as time allows. We did receive several questions ahead of tonight's update, and we will start by answering some of the most frequently asked questions first. Let's see what the first question is. I think this one's going to be for you, Jim. Will the new bridge be a toll bridge?
The new bridge will be rebuilt by MDTA, and therefore it will continue to be owned, operated, and maintained by MDTA as a toll facility.
Okay, well, let's keep it going. Brian, I think this one is for you. Is October 15th, 2028 the opening date?
So October 2028 is the date that has been given to potential design and construction companies who may be proposing on the project. MDTA will be looking at earlier dates if that's achievable as we move forward.
Okay. Let's see what another question is. Will the rest of the FSK bridge be torn down or will it be reused?
I'll take a shot at that, but this is an answer or a question we are asked frequently. So unfortunately, analysis on that is still underway. MDTA will determine if those remaining elements will require removal or not.
Okay. Who will pay for the new Key Bridge?
Well, funding for that reconstruction is expected to be derived from insurance proceeds, cash on hand at MDTA, bond financing, litigation recoveries, and federal funds as well. The exact nature of the funding mix, though, is still to be determined.
Let's see another question. How much debris is there in the channel and how much is left to be removed? And how was it removed?
I'll take that one.
Okay.
The majority of the steel has already been removed from the channel and moved to the salvage yard to be recycled. Recent estimates put it around 19,000 tons of steel in the channel that was removed, and we're about 99% removed at this point. Just some smaller pieces here and there that are being taken care of. The last large truss section was removed on Tuesday, June 4th. And the steel's lifted out of the river with the large cranes that everyone's been seeing on the river. It's moved by barge from the site over to a salvage yard where we're cutting the sections down into manageable sizes that can be trucked to a local recycling company.
Local. Okay, that's awesome. Is there any chance that the bridge could or would be completed before the projected date of fall of 2028?
So this is a substantial project that we intend to design and construct as quickly as possible. While we believe fall 2028 is aggressive in timeline, we also anticipate providing incentives to our design and construction partners to get the project completed sooner.
Okay. I see a question that definitely is important to a lot of community members. Will there be noise impacts?
So during construction, there will be use of heavy equipment. So there will likely be some noise impacts that local communities around the bridge site are going to hear and may potentially have concern with. So you can contact us at MDTA Key Bridge Rebuild hotline it's 1-800-515-7030, or you can contact us by email at info@keybridgerebuild.com.
Okay. So what about people who may see construction going on near their property? Would that be the same information if they wanted to reach out and find out more?
Yes. Again, you can contact us through the rebuild hotline, and again, I'll just give the number out again. It's 1-800-515-7030, or the email address at info@keybridgerebuild.com.
Will the presentation be posted afterwards?
PowerPoint slides and the presentation recording will be posted at keybridgerebuild.com following the presentation.
Okay. Will there be impacts to shipping during the project?
So there will be close coordination between MDTA the design construction team, the U.S. Coast Guard, and the Port of Baltimore to minimize impacts to the shipping channel during reconstruction.
Okay, let's see what other questions the community has for us. Traffic. Traffic and specifically trucks are using residential areas like Salters Point Road as a cutoff. We're going to take a quick break, a little more housekeeping, short technical difficulty. I apologize. We'll be back shortly.
Thank you for joining the Key Bridge Rebuild Virtual Community Update. If you have a question, you can submit it using the Zoom Q&A panel. To adjust the size of the shared screen and speaker video, hover your pointer over the boundary between the two until your pointer changes to a double arrow and you see a gray line separating both views. Click and drag the separator to adjust the size of each view. Thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you for your patience. We're back. So let's get back to the questions. Traffic. Traffic and specifically trucks are using residential areas like Salters Point Road as a cutoff. Will there be greater enforcement of the weight limit on that road? Second portion to this question is at least 20 to 30 tractor trailers go through this area throughout the day. This is also a school zone, but we rarely see Baltimore County Police enforcement. So who wants to take that one?
I'll try to answer this. So first of all, thank you for this detailed information. We have been working with our partners at the State Highway Administration, Baltimore City, as well as Baltimore County and Anne Arundel County, trying to identify locations where we have changes to the travel patterns, specifically with commercial vehicles. We'll take this information back and we'll work with those partners to determine if changes can be made to alleviate that issue. We also will just repeat some information that we've opened up the exit 44 on I-695 at Broning Highway in an effort to provide additional access for commercial vehicles accessing the port so that they can avoid the neighborhoods.
Okay. Another traffic question. Why are lanes blocked at 895 at the toll plaza going northbound?
So what we're describing here is a pilot project that we've undertaken in the middle of May. We were looking at trying to make the movement at the existing toll plaza more efficient, eliminate some of the merging actions that we've had, and try to keep the through traffic to the left and in the lanes that they approach the toll plaza in as they traverse through the toll plaza. We are monitoring that impact, that the changes, and we will make adjustments as necessary.
So next question. How long will exit 43 on I-695 be shut down? Brian?
Yeah, I'll take that. So exit 43 is closed to allow the construction of our previously planned construction project. We anticipate that exit will open by the end of June of 2024. And we ask to please look at the KB 3005 I-695 Sparrows Point project website for continuing updates on that.
Okay, awesome. So we have another question. It was said the Key Bridge will be 4 lanes. 4 lanes in each direction, making it 8 lanes, or is it 2 lanes in each direction, making it 4 lanes, which was what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the bridge will be reconstructed with the same number of lanes as it had before the collapse. So we will have a total of 4 lanes, 2 in each direction of the Beltway.
When is construction anticipated to start on the new bridge?
So we'll work with our design and construction partners to develop the design of the new bridge, and that's starting probably late summer timeframe. The construction will be able to begin after the design is substantially developed, and we're expecting that in the mid-2025 timeframe.
So let me look at this question. The previous bridge was built before modern stormwater control regulations discharging polluted runoff directly into the harbor. Will the new bridge be designed with stormwater collection and treatment?
Yeah, so the bridge will be subject to current design requirements, which includes stormwater and drainage.
Okay. Let's look at another question. Is the MDTA considering a temporary bridge while the new bridge is under construction? I'm gonna give this to Brian.
So we are not considering a temporary modular structure, and that's due to the width of the channel that we're working with here, the size of the ships coming in and out, and just the volume of port traffic.
Makes sense. Let me see another question, a tolling question. Are the tolls still being collected on Broning Highway when using the exit to Edgemere?
Well, I sort of touched on this in an earlier question and response when we were talking about trying to keep commercial vehicles out of communities. And so right now, we are not collecting tolls on exit 44, the Broning Highway interchange. They are suspended until the end of this month. And at that time, we'll evaluate the new traffic patterns and as well as our current financial plan.
Aha. So with the new bridge, a lot of people are interested in this question. Will there be consideration given to bicycle and pedestrian access?
So the reasonableness and feasibility of including a shared use path is still under evaluation.
Let's look at another question. Will the MDTA and the chosen design build firm explore designs for the new bridge that will accommodate light rail transit?
Well, I'll take a shot at this one. So the effort is for this project is to replace the Key Bridge, restoring capacity and access across the Patapsco River. The new bridge will be designed to meet current roadway standards and shipping standards and the needs of the Port of Baltimore, but light rail transit will not be included in that.
Okay. Let's look at another question. Is the MDTA considering implementing ferry service while the bridge is being built? I've heard this question a lot.
So similar to the prior response, MDTA and MDOT have no plans to implement a ferry service.
Okay. Let's look at another question about recycling. Is MDTA planning to use the recycled metal from the old Key Bridge? If so, how will the recycled metal be used? Will it be part of the new bridge?
So as we've been doing the recovery of the steel out of the river, that material has been processed and recycled as that work's been ongoing. So,
And let's talk about some more new bridge questions. Will the name of the new bridge remain the Francis Scott Key Bridge, or will it be changed?
Well, that is a very important conversation, but there's been no decisions made on renaming at this time.
Okay. Will the design meet the current and future transportation needs?
Yes. So we are again working on this effort in order to restore capacity and access across the Patapsco River. The new bridge will be designed to meet the current standards and needs of the Port of Baltimore.
Let's look at another question. Is the Maryland Transportation Authority, also known as MDTA, working with Army Corps of Engineering to design, build new bridge, or is this solely a MDTA effort?
The responsibility for rebuilding the bridge is an MDTA effort, but of course we can't do anything without closely coordinating with federal partners, including the Army Corps of Engineers, the Federal Highway Administration, U.S. Coast Guard, and of course a lot of other state agencies during the environmental review period, the design and construction process as well.
Okay. A lot of people want to know about the bridge and what's going to be different, I think, between the existing structure and the new structure. So let's see another question. Will the bridge be built higher and the waterway deeper to allow larger cruise ships to sail out of the Port of Baltimore?
So MDTA is working with the U.S. Coast Guard to determine the height of the new Key Bridge above the water. The replacement project, however, is not going to be impacting the depth of the waterway. The depth of that channel is managed by the Army Corps of Engineers.
Let's look at a traffic question. At 95, the toll booths have been removed completely. Why can't that happen on 895?
Well, that is a current project that we have in our program, and it is funded for construction. And so that project exists, and we will be working on that. However, in light of the Key Bridge collapse, we are evaluating options in order to be able to deliver that work with minimal disruptions to traffic, including the higher volumes that we're seeing on 895. And we're looking to do that concurrently with the Key Bridge rebuild work.
I like to hear that. Minimal traffic impact. Thank you. How much of the original bridge structure, spans, piers, foundations, etc., can be used in the rebuild project? That's a good question. I'm gonna give that one to Brian.
So I think actually Jim kind of answered this previously, but whether or not we reuse portions of the bridge is currently being evaluated.
Let's see another question. Would the MDTA consider constructing a tunnel instead of a new bridge?
So again, this effort is to replace the Key Bridge. Again, we're storing capacity and access across the Patapsco River. The new bridge will be designed to meet the current standards and provide the needs and meet the needs of the Port of Baltimore. But MDOT and MDTA do not have any plans to construct a tunnel instead of a bridge.
Okay. Let's talk about some more construction. We have a question that says, you mentioned during the presentation that MDTA will select a design and construction company to design and build the new bridge. Will the public have any say in what the new bridge looks like or the features the new bridge will have? Or is that all going to be decided by MDTA and the company designing and building the bridge? That's a good question. I'll give that to Brian.
So we anticipate additional public outreach as the project progresses. After the selection of the design and construction team, the public will have an opportunity to provide input throughout the process. And MDTA, in cooperation with our progressive design builder, will evaluate that input. And we welcome comments and questions and suggestions throughout the project and the development. And you can contact us again at info@keybridgerebuild.com or at the 800 number of 800-515-7030.
Okay, let's find another question that's not about construction or anything like jobs. Will there be opportunities to engage basic laborers supporting all trades from across the state who would like to work on the rebuild?
Quite simply, yes. So rebuilding the Key Bridge as quickly as possible will require a very significant amount of labor. One of the things that we're looking for in a partner on this project is someone that is dedicated and committed to providing opportunities for Maryland businesses and Maryland workforce. So as this project progresses towards construction, we anticipate that our design build team will perform outreach to engage labor subcontractors, including our DBE contractors.
Okay. Let's move on to an environmental question. Let's see. If the bridge is being built in the same location, does an environmental study need to be completed?
Well, MDTA is currently completing an environmental planning study to identify all environmental impacts associated with rebuilding the Key Bridge in the same location. This includes demolition if necessary, reconstruction, and temporary construction impacts identified to obtain the necessary environmental permits.
It's been all in the news. Everybody is been hyper focused on how the bridge went down. So this is a question that's come in, and a lot of people want to know, will MDTA include peer protection for the new bridge? Brian?
So the new bridge will be designed and built to current industry standards, and that includes, the roadway and shoulders and barrier heights, but it also includes an enhanced peer protection system.
Okay. Back to jobs. I knew we were going to have another jobs question. I love these. How many jobs will the Key Bridge rebuild create? Jim, let me get that one to you.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have a hard and fast number right now. We just know that it's going to take a lot of jobs in order to deliver this project in the accelerated timeline of fall of 2028. So we will be getting into specifics in the number of jobs created during phase 1 of the design project.
Okay. Will any additional land be needed to rebuild the bridge? If additional land is needed, where would that land come from?
I can take that. So the current approach to the project is to reconstruct a bridge with 4 lanes built in approximately the same location as the existing bridge. And by this approach, we're anticipate the reconstruction to be completed with MDTA right away or property.
Let's look at a community question. How do I let MDTA know that I would like to speak, that I would like you to speak with my community? So we mentioned earlier that, we can come and speak at community events. We did the industry forum, that was for industry people. Now we're moving on to communities. So if I'm in a community and I feel like this has impacted my community, how do I get you guys to come out and talk to us?
So for specific community requests, you can reach out to us at the information provided earlier. Our email is info@keybridgerebuild.com, or call us at 800-515-7030. For any businesses that are looking to market their services related to the design and construction effort, MDTA cannot communicate directly with you during the procurement process, but we know that there are some outreach events that being put on by large contractors.
Let's look for another job question. There's a lot of interest in employment. How do I apply for a job to help with the Key Bridge rebuild? Brian?
Yeah, so keybridgerebuild.com contains links to partner organizations who have resources where workers and businesses can receive, in-person assistance. And this information will be updated as additional programs become available. We anticipate choosing the design and construction team later this summer, and these initial activities will be focused on data collection and preliminary engineering and final design to better define the construction work. So opportunities to become part of the eventual construction will be published at a later date.
Now, I also submitted this question, so this, because I am part of the community and I wanted to know the answer to this one too. Who will select the design and construction contractor?
So MDTA will review and evaluate the proposals from the companies that do submit. The team consists of technical professionals, and they will select the team that provides the most advantageous proposal.
Okay. And what is the latest on funding? Who's going to pay for it? Jim or Brian? You two can decide who's going to take that one.
I'll work with that one. So MDTA and MDOT are working with the federal delegation, our federal delegation, to identify opportunities to advance the language for 100% federal cost share. including attaching the provision to bills moving through Congress. We've been pleased, and thankful for the engagement with the committee leadership on both sides of the aisle on this issue, who remain committed to ensuring that we rebuild the bridge as quickly as possible by securing those 100% funding.
How much money will the rebuild cost me as a taxpayer?
Well, we are, looking to make the taxpayer whole. So, in addition to the federal funding, our insurance proceeds, as well as other reimbursements, we kind of talked about that during the presentation, are going to go back to the recovery and the rebuild effort. And so we are going to continue to work on other recovery options as well to minimize the net cost to taxpayers as well as toll customers.
Okay. So with that assistance, how much will MDTA be paying for the rebuilding efforts?
So MDTA's planning level cost estimate right now is at $7 billion. And that estimate's in line with similar projects of this size and complexity.
Let's see, let's find another question. A design question. You are considering current standards in the design, but what about future standards, such as sizes of ships and vessels? Either one of you can take this.
So we're coordinating closely with the Coast Guard and the Port of Baltimore to identify the maritime needs and traffic, and we'll be considering those items in the design of the new bridge.
Okay. So let's look at a construction question. Will there be a DBE goal for the project?
Quite simply, yes. So
I like it when you say yes.
phase one of the reconstruction will include pre-construction services, and it will have a disadvantaged business enterprise goal, stating that 26% of the contract should be completed by a Maryland certified DBE.
Okay. Well, small businesses are definitely part of the community as well, and we have another small business question. I own a company that may qualify as a DBE. How do I determine if I can become DBE certified so I can work on this project?
Well, the Office of Minority Business Enterprise provides assistance to those businesses in obtaining DBE certification and offers one-on-one reviews of your applications. The applicant can call the intake department at 410-865-1269 to schedule a virtual appointment.
Let's keep it community focused, just to redirect everybody's attention. There are a number of industry related questions coming in through the chat. We refer the industry members to the industry tab on the keybridgerebuild.com website. All right. Okay, so next question. It's about project labor agreements. Will this project use a PLA? Brian or Jim?
The short answer is that that's still to be determined. In keeping with the governor's executive order, we have to evaluate this project for the use of a PLA, and that will occur during phase one of the project.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a short break. Please continue to look through the questions and participate, and we will be back.
Thank you for joining the Key Bridge Rebuild Virtual Community Update. If you have a question, you can submit it using the Zoom Q&A panel. To adjust the size of the shared screen and speaker video, hover your pointer over the boundary between the two until your pointer changes to a double arrow and you see a gray line separating both views. Click and drag the separator to adjust the size of each view. Thanks again for joining us today.
Welcome back. Okay, we're going to end the question portion with one last community question, and it does relate to traffic. So that question is it possible to complete this bridge in stages? There are 4 lanes on the bridge. Can we just do 2 lanes and then do the other 2 lanes?
So we are in early stages of development, so it's a little early to determine if we can build one direction at a time. One thing to keep in mind is with it closed to traffic, it allows the most accessibility for a contractor to do construction operations, and allows the most flexibility from a timing standpoint. If we go to a staged concept, that does tend to, based on our history with work on along all of our facilities, we tend to see the timing of construction extending because of phase construction. So if for a bridge of this length and height, it's not typical to build it in stages like that.
Well, thank you for all the great questions we've been receiving. As a reminder, we will upload the FAQs to the project website. The presentation that you've seen tonight and the recording will be available immediately following the update on keybridgerebuild.com. As a reminder, if you have any questions, feedback, or simply want to connect, we're just a call or click away. Reach out to our public information hotline at 800-515-7030 or drop us a line at info@keybridgerebuild.com. You can also reach out through mail at Keybridge Rebuild, 2310 Broning Highway, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for participating in this virtual community update. A survey will be sent to you following tonight's meeting. Please take a few minutes to share your feedback and provide insight on our virtual event. Your input helps us to improve future public meetings. We appreciate your interest in rebuilding the Key Bridge, and we look forward to engaging with you throughout this process.